Hello. How is everybody doing? I hope you're all doing well. Hey, Yandiri. Welcome. Hey, Samantha. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Retro Scooter. You about to go to sleep? So I want to hop in and say goodnight before I go. All the spoops. Alright, we're going to read a couple stories. I'm not going to stream for very long tonight. But I haven't, you know, my hair. What about my hair? I haven't been doing creepy stories lately. Sorry. I want to try to get back into it. But yes, good night, Scooter. So let's start with a story. Give me a second here. Boop 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 doop boop boop doop. Hang on a second. There we go. Nope. Close that. So let's get right into it. You might stay for one. This story is called My Name is Cassandra. Here is the link, because words are hard sometimes. Let me put on my cans. New nose ring? Nah, old nose ring. Just thought I'd try something different for now. I like it. All right. Well, let's do this story. Once again, this is My Name is Cassandra. This is on Reddit No Sleep. If you like the story, please give it an upvote. And here we go. My name is Cassandra, and I can see the future. I'm sure some of you are rolling your eyes right now in disbelief, which is why the point of my namesake, which is the point of my namesake. No one believes me, and like Cassandra of old, I see tragedies. It took me a while before I realized I was different. I couldn't make sense of my visions at first. They were horrifying. Terrible things flashing before my eyes, like the last slides of an old film as the reel runs out. Then, as I began to understand that these images weren't reality, I assumed everyone had these strange visions. It wasn't something you could ask your parents about. Or perhaps I did, and my parents dismissed it as a child's fanciful ideas until I stopped asking. I don't remember. I was young. It wasn't until my great uncle died that I realized this wasn't how the world was. It was my first brush with death. I'd seen it earlier, him flailing out the windows of his house before his struggles trailed off, and he succumbed to the smoke and flames that consumed him. At the funeral, I listened intently to the adults speak in hushed tones about how abrupt it was, how no one had expected it, how the house was new enough that it shouldn't have had faulty wiring like that. How they wished he'd remembered to change the batteries, the smoke alarm, and woken while there was still time to get out. I heard all of these things and thought, but didn't you know? Didn't you see? I learned two things that day. The first was that visions I saw were not just a child's fantasy. They were premonitions of the future, specifically how the person I was looking at would die. The second was that I was the only one that saw them. I didn't learn my next lesson until I was older. I was in fourth grade. I was shy. But that was all. I didn't have friends. There was a boy in my class that would try to climb up the maple tree in the backyard. I'm sorry, in the playground during recess. The teachers made him get down each time. The morning I walked into the classroom, as my eyes traveled across the students leading to my desk, I saw him lying twisted at the bottom of the tree, his head bent over to touch his shoulder. I ran to my teacher and urgently told her I had something important to say in private. I went out into the hall and told her that he was going to die today. While climbing the tree, she seemed upset that I was telling her at that time. I interpreted it as she was angry at me for doing something wrong. Now that I'm older, I can understand how disconcerting it might be to have one of your students suddenly tell you, in all seriousness, that someone was going to break their neck, and not in an abstract fear, but in a concrete sense that this would happen soon. She told me to not say such disturbing things, and we went back into the classroom. But I was desperate, so I began to tell everyone, the gym teacher, the math teacher, the other students. Finally, I was sent to the principal's office to calm down. And while I was there, the bell rang, and my peers went out to recess. While I sat crying in the principal's office, as he gently tried to explain to me that there was nothing to be afraid of, my classmate climbed higher than he normally did in defiance of the teachers yelling at him, stepped on a branch that broke and fell and landed on his neck. It snapped. He died instantly. None of the other students talked to me after that. They remembered how I had told them that he would die, and when he did, the teachers treated me warily, like I was a snake waiting to strike. There were sessions with the counselor. My parents were called in, and I'd begun to be bullied in small, subtle ways, snickering in silence as I went through the hallways. Sodas poured onto my locker. It was a relief when my family moved to another state. I could start over. But by then, I learned my lesson when a student at the new school started treatment for leukemia. I didn't tell anyone that chemotherapy wasn't going to save her, and her death shocked everyone who had been futilely why can't I futility hoping she would recover. At least they weren't angry, though they didn't hate me for it. I never again told someone that they would die, and I suffered in silence, seeing these horrific things, knowing that I would say goodbye to someone, that was the last time I would see them alive. I suppose my story could end there, with me being the silent and resentful Cassandra, doomed to watch but never able to act. It doesn't, though. A year ago, I picked someone up. I was driving for a rideshare app, and as soon as he got in the car, I saw a vision of him thrashing in my back seat, body rigid, face red, and gasping for air. I could see some of the scenery through my rearview mirror. It would happen after we got on the highway near his destination, roughly 25 minutes until he had a heart attack and died. I was anxious as I drove towards the on-ramp. He tried to make small talk, but I remained silent, not knowing what to say. It didn't matter that it didn't matter if that would normally affect my rating. He was going to die before he could give it. A morbid thought, I admit. I wanted to scream, bad enough that I had to see how people would die and couldn't do anything about it, but now I was going to have someone die in my car right in front of me. Unless. I pulled off a few exits early. He piped up that we'd taken the wrong exit, but I said nothing. I just kept driving. His annoyance quickly turned to anger. He berated me, demanded that I turn around and stop fucking around. Then he demanded that I let him out. Instead, I turned into a drive for a hospital's ER department and finally stopped the car. He wrenched at the door handle and I let him out, screaming curses at me. Called me all sorts of horrible names, and I waited, heart pounding, hands shaking. There was a cold sweat on my brow. Just 5 more minutes now, if my estimation was correct. He stalked up and down the sidewalk, face growing redder, cursing and punching furiously at his cell phone. Then as a security guard was coming out to see what the commotion was, it happened. He fell to his knees and clutched his chest. The physicians inside were quickly able to respond, and he was wheeled inside. I didn't stay to see what happened next, and I drove away and found someplace quiet to pull over and calm down. I think he appreciated what I did. I know he lived because he gave me a perfect rating and the biggest tip the app would allow. But after that, I had an idea. Maybe I couldn't save people from telling them what would happen, but I could still save people. I still drive for this ride-sharing app. This time, I have an ulterior motive. I make sure to look at my clients before they get in the car, and rarely, very rarely, I see something. It isn't always as simple as the man that had the heart attack. The timing hasn't been nearly so convenient since then. I have to be smart about it. Take them to where they want to go, drop them off, and leave. Then I write down their starting location and destination. Days, maybe weeks later, I start monitoring those points, seeing if it is part of their routine. If it isn't, there isn't much I can do after that, but sometimes it is. I follow them, wait until I have an opportunity, and then I save them however I can. Sometimes it's as simple as slashing someone's tires so they can't drive to the restaurant as planned, or a quick trip to the hardware store, ringing someone's doorbell, posing as a representative of the city's Home Safety Commission, handing out free carbon monoxide detectors. The first time I was nervous, but it was more that I could be caught. I didn't see them dying of brain hemorrhage after all. I saw them dying of a rapidly growing brain tumor that I had no idea existed. So I threw a brick at her head. So I can only hope they saw something, that they would clue the doctors in off the tumor's existence when she went into the ER for a concussion. The person that was going to be drowned, a person that was going to drown, I went to the bowling alley. I went to the bowling alley as he had his league and dropped my ball on his hand as he was reaching for his own. I didn't even have to fake cry because I was sorry I'd hurt him. But it's hard to go swimming when your hand's broken. I can only hope that his seaside vacation was spent drinking margaritas safely on the beach. And the person that was going to die in the ski accident, well, it's hard to ski when both your legs have been amputated after being struck by a hit-and-run driver. Sometimes the guilt eats at me. I can hear their screams in my head. If I sit still long enough, I don't want to hurt people. I'm so scared every time I do. Scared I'll get caught. Scared they'll get away. Scared I won't hurt them in just the right way to to circumvent the fate waiting for them. My hands still shake each time, but it only takes a moment of resolve, and then it's over. For me, at least, the road to recovery is long for the people I save. But at least They'll be alive at the end of it. At least they're alive. I guess I'm just stalling by writing this, working up the nerve to go into the basement and put a nail into the eyes of a person tied up down there. The one I saw driving a nondescript highway at an unidentifiable time of the year, just before another car swerved into their lane and they lost control and rolled into the opposing traffic. Their family was in the car with them. It's a horrible thing seeing how people will die, seeing their last minutes, the fear and despair. I lived with it my whole life. Can you blame me for wanting to do something to stop it? To banish these horrible visions I live with? To save someone instead of pretending that everything is fine and then going on my way knowing what I know? I wish they could understand what I was trying to do for them. But I am Cassandra and I am doomed, as much as my namesake was. I don't want your sympathy. I don't care about your anger. I just want someone to understand. If our paths ever meet, I'm doing this to save you. Hey, David, how you doing, bud? Hey, Mama. I don't know if my mom's still in here. That was a pretty good story, I guess. I like that one. A lot of Christmas stories. I kind of missed December. Movie story? What do you mean, movie story? I don't know what that means. Hope you're doing good, Mom. Hope your chemo is going well. I'll call you after this. I'm only going to go for about an hour. We've only been going for about 19 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. I'm not sure how long I'll go. My neighbor had an airplane. Nope, had air trapped in jars. Last night I broke into his home to free it. What? Hey, Julie. I used to work as a mall Santa, but one boy's Christmas list made me quit. Y'all wanna hear this story? It's a Christmas story. I kind of missed the whole month. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? I mean, mismatched socks. Hopefully you're well. Thanks for joining us. Y'all let me know if y'all want to hear that I used to work as a mall Santa. I don't know how you'll receive this message, but you need to wake up. Hi, chapped mom. She might be chapped. Chemo does that to you sometimes. A little bit in morbid humor, but it's true. I mean, makes you, it truly does. Mall Santas all have secrets. That's right. Well, this one is, I don't know how you'll receive this message, but you need to wake up. Well, too late, David. Too late. Let's, maybe I'll read that one next. Here's the story. You know words are hard. Click the link. If you like the story, upvote it. Boop. In the Reddit. These people are... Oh, this one's by Richard Saxon. I love his stories. This guy does good. Hey, Ferd. Wow, everybody's coming out of the woodwork. I like it. Let's do the story. Oh, you know what we're missing? I know what we're missing. Oh, we're missing the Burt's Bees. Bridget knew what we were missing. Oh, you guys are too funny. All right, well, I don't know how you'll receive this message, but you need to wake up, is the story. I don't know how you'll receive this message, but you need to wake up. Those were the words that occupied my television screen. Moments before, I'd been watching an old Western movie with my wife sleeping peacefully in my lap. It was just past midnight, which meant I must have dozed off at some point, as the last time I checked it had been just past 10. With work in the morning would be another exhausting adventure. But the words that had just replaced the movie brought me straight back to attention. The world you live in is wrong. Wake up, Jack. I sat frozen in my comfortable chair, momentarily forgetting everything that existed around me. My name, as generic as it was, felt familiar, but it wasn't mine. My wife let out a silent groan, probably dreaming something and talking in her sleep, as she often did. I considered if I'd actually fallen asleep myself, if I was dreaming. The only way to make sure was by letting someone else confirm that I was actually seeing. Mary, honey, please wake up, as I gently shook her. She looked so calm, as if all the horrors in the world didn't matter as long as she was safe by my side. I took a moment to just admire her, and I looked back up. The weird message had been replaced by the roll credits of the Western movie. The clock read 1:34 a.m. Meaning for more than an hour had passed since the disturbing message popped up. Time had skipped, but to me no more than a few seconds had passed. I remembered that, looking at the time while dreaming produces weird results. It had to be a nightmare, nothing more. Yet I couldn't bring myself to wake up. I convinced myself that the message had been a product of my sleep-deprived mind, that I existed somewhere on the edge of reality with one foot inside the realm of sleep. Hang on. There it is. I found it. Sorry. Defeated and not feeling ready to get up for work in the morning, I just picked up a blanket and tucked my wife in. I was considering whether or not to carry her off to bed. It wouldn't be so hard considering my size, but I didn't want to wake her. Before I knew it, I suddenly found myself halfway up the stairs, walking towards our bedroom. I took a glance at my watch. The time reads 2:04. Another half hour had just vanished. The realization hit me like a brick. I had never sleptwalked before, nor did I have any history of absence seizures. Then I noticed the painting on the wall. It was the one that had always been there, but one I had never taken a second to just observe. Realistically, I knew my wife had hung it there when we moved in together, but it was so distant, as if only partially existing when no one was looking. It depicted a group of people standing outside an ancient building, all of them wearing strange black gowns. In the dark, I couldn't truly tell whether it was a painting or an actual photograph, but my mind leaned towards the former. They were holding hands, but a lot of them were missing body parts, hands, legs, one even half their head, but none of them were smiling. At the bottom, there was a piece of handwritten text. Trial and error. The first test. 2013, it read. The year felt so odd. Both the building and the outfits seemed to be much older. Just staring at it produced a growing fear of dread within my body. Goosebumps formed on my arms, and I knew time had come to get some much needed shut eye. No sooner than I made that decision before the world turned black around me. Seconds, maybe minutes passed, and I awoke in my bed with my wife sleeping beside me. The sun had just arisen above the horizon, letting the rays of warm sunlight penetrate over our beige curtains. The events of the past night were already fading. It had to have been a dream. There was no logical explanation. "Are you okay?" Mary asked, with a tired, groggy voice as she noticed me staring out into the world outside. I was standing in front of the window wearing a shirt and trousers that I always put on for work, but couldn't remember standing up nor getting dressed. "You look tired. Couldn't you sleep?" I don't know. I don't know," I stuttered. "I had some weird dreams. The light outside looked so strange. It was perfect in every sense of the word, rid of any obvious faults. It shined brilliantly through the clear blue sky, only interrupted by a few pure white clouds. A brilliant orange gradient painted off the horizon with trees dancing in the wind, gently. That's the third time this week, Gary. Gary, that's my name. Though it felt too foreign. I'd known it since I could form coherent words as a child, yet it somehow didn't suit me. Wake up, Pete. Maybe you should reschedule another appointment with Dr. June, Mary suggested. I agreed only because I'd known him for years. He'd helped me through some trauma, though I couldn't fathom how he'd possibly analyze my dreams in any meaningful way. I called after breakfast, and to my luck, he just happened to have a free session that morning. I let my job know that I'd be late due to my appointment. As usual, they were more than happy to accommodate me. "Gary, it's great to see you this fine morning," Dr. June said with his usual level of enthusiasm as he welcomed me into his office. He'd always called me by my first name, claiming it made people more comfortable, letting them open up more. I couldn't deny that claim. The man knew pretty much everything about me. Wake up, Pete. I told him about my dreams. He had jotted a few notes down onto his book as he passively listened. "Gary, why don't you tell me what you think these dreams mean?" It was such an obvious question, yet I never saw it coming. I hadn't thought much about it. My concern was mainly getting rid of them, not understanding them. Though lately I'd struggled to figure out whether or not they were truly dreams and not a twisted version of reality. It's like my life isn't real," I finally answered. "Sometimes I have flashes, Pictures of people. I don't know. But they all seem so familiar. I don't understand. He asked a few more questions after that, before sighing and looking at me. Gary, we've been talking about your dreams now for the better part of this year. And they're not getting better. Well, I'm not ready to give you a certain diagnosis. I'd like to put you on some kind of medication. Drugs? What kind? I asked. He sighed again. That's the thing, Gary. If I tell you how it works, you might be resistant to it. This medication is brand new, and I've had good results with other patients suffering similar world-breaking ideas. I'd like to put you on it just for a few weeks. If it works, great. We'll talk again. If not, or if you suffer from any side effects, we'll just stop the treatment. I'm not supposed to do this way, so I need to know if you're on board. I looked at him with a questioning expression plastered on my face. He had always been good to me, never doubting nor judging my stories. I trusted him more than most. So despite not being one to trust unknown drugs, I decided to give the treatment a shot. All right, Doc, you know best, I suppose. He handed me an unmarked bottle of pills with the simple instructions of taking one each day before going to bed. That was all it would take to cure me of undiagnosed disease that had been plaguing me for months. Once the session had ended, I headed to work on foot. My car was stored safely in a nearby garage. I needed the fresh air to clear my head. My mind drifted to the deepest parts of my mind. As it did, the same weird flashes passed before my eyes, images of people, places, and times that felt familiar, yet all too distant. They weren't mine. They couldn't possibly be, yet they were there. I was only jolted back to the world outside as I heard the faint sounds of someone crying. It was a girl sobbing in the distance. Her voice echoed unnaturally through the busy streets. While it took me a while to pinpoint her exact origins, I saw her standing in an alleyway on the other side of the road, ignored by dozens of pedestrians walking by. I hesitated for a moment, worrying that it might look odd for a massive guy to approach a strange child. But I figured that I could help by at least calling the police or aid her in finding her parents. Are you okay? I asked calmly as I approached her. She couldn't have been older than 8. She wore a school uniform that had bright blonde hair. Where's your mom and dad? I asked. She looked at me with a mildly shocked expression on her face. They're not here. I want to go home, she said. Where do you live? She looked around herself. I don't know. I don't like it here. It isn't real. I want to go home, she repeated. What do you mean this isn't real? Nothing is real. My parents are gone. The new ones aren't the real ones. They're not my parents. No one is real. She was getting increasingly more upset with each question. But what she said struck an eerie chord with me. Before I got the chance to ask any further questions, I heard the sound of sirens appear behind me. A police car parked on the side of the road, and a couple of police officers emerged. Joanna, one of them asked. The little girl looked at me. Don't let them take me, she yelled with fear in her voice. Joanna, it's okay. We're going to bring you back to your mommy and daddy, the policeman said. No, she screamed in protest as he approached her. You're not real. Go away. I looked back and forth between the little girl and the police officers that seemed confused as myself. Hey, wait a minute. I tried to interject. Sir, the girl is sick. She needs help, they argued before I could make my case. But just stay back, all right? We'll take care of it from here. She turned around to run. But there was only one exit out from the alleyway, and it was blocked by the officers. Though my first instinct was to help, I didn't want to get arrested or worse. It seemed genuinely interested. They seemed genuinely interested in helping her. And logically, I could understand why. But despite their actions making perfect sense, the situation just didn't sit right with me. Please don't let them take me away, she cried again. She was taken away before I could properly process what had happened. In my mind, I promised myself to call and check up on her. My nose. But once she was out of sight, as if my brain struggled to recall what had happened just moments before. Whatever the case, work beckoned and I had to go. It wouldn't be particularly a productive day, but my job entailed little more than tedious paperwork. Whether or not I was actually working, no one would ever know as long as I pretended to look busy. Once at my desk, I pulled the bottle of pills out and studied them. The box wasn't labeled, nor did it come with instructions. It was just a container holding 30 small, white, indistinct pills. I rolled one of them between my fingers, trying to understand how something so small could possibly change my life. While the little pill lay in my hand, my computer screen suddenly came to life. It was just a black image with a bit of text centered in the middle. Don't do it, Jack. It lasted for a split second before going back to normal. Just that simple message, nothing more, nothing less. Whether they were talking about the pills or if they meant something else entirely, I didn't know. Whatever the case, I couldn't stay at work. I told my boss I was feeling sick, and like the great man he'd always been, he let me go home early. Once there, I just collapsed on the couch in front of the TV. Mary wouldn't be home for several hours, working overtime trying to complete a project. But I didn't mind. I made my way to the fridge to look for food. There was a plate of my favorite meal there, prepared by my wife. I know you're under a lot of pressure. I want you to know that I'm always there for you. Hopefully this makes you feel a bit better. Love you, Mary. A brief smile broke out. The first one in over a week. She truly was the best thing that ever happened to me. I need to get healthy again, if only for her sake. A modicum of happiness built up inside me as I devoured the meal in front of the television, each bite as perfect as the last. On the side of the table stood the bottle of pills, and the time for the first one was nearing. So I picked it up and held it in my hands as I kept my eyes glued to the movie I was watching. Then, as I twisted the lid off, I felt a sinking feeling in my gut. Then the television screen turned black, filled with little more than a simple sentence. Don't take the pill, Jack. That was the last push I needed to bring me over the edge. I didn't know whether or not I'd lost my mind, but I didn't care. What the fuck do you want from me? I shouted at the television, looking at the painting. Look at the painting, was all I got in response. At first, I didn't understand what they meant. It was such a nonsensical message on its own. But then I realized how I'd been extraordinarily fascinated by the painting on the stairs the day before. how I'd been frozen in place before it for almost an hour. The black screen turned back to the movie, and I put the bottle of pills down. I walked over to the stairs with the weird picture hanging on the wall halfway up. The sun had set, casting eerie shadows throughout the house. It obscured the picture to the point where I couldn't tell whether or not it was a photograph or a realistic painting. Time passed, and as it started getting darker outside, still, I just kept staring, not sure what I was looking for. "Gary, what the hell are you doing?" my wife called as she found me standing in the stairs. "I've been trying to call you for hours. Why didn't you pick up?" Hours had passed. The evening had turned into early light, and it had just passed 11 p.m. Mary had been stuck at work in overtime, trying to get in touch. I had been standing there staring at the picture for hours. The picture. "Where did you get it?" I asked. Mary looked at me dumbfounded before turning her attention towards the picture on the wall. A confused expression found on her face, and she approached me to inspect it. "I don't really know. I never noticed this picture before. It was just kind of there." Her comment confirmed every bit of oddity surrounding the picture. I reached out my hands to remove it, but Mary grabbed my arms before I could reach it, stopping me. "Why are you stopping me?" I asked. I, I don't know. I'm just scared." I felt it too, the hesitation and worry about what lay behind it. Still, I grabbed it and unhinged it from the wall. Once again, all it revealed was a spot of absolute nothing. "What is that?" Mary asked in shock. I hadn't the faintest clue how to answer the question, because what existed behind the painting was literally nothing, a hole in the fabric of reality that had existed long before our time in that house. At least I knew it wasn't just a dream, the world was real. But something had gone horribly wrong, and for some reason I knew it would only get worse from there. Wake up, Pete. So there's a part 2 to that. I'll probably read that next week. Are y'all enjoying the stories? My finger looks like bloody or something. It looks a lot more pink. I need to fix my white balance. I wonder how I can do that. Configure video. I don't know. Whatever. Yes. Yes, do you like that story? And you want more next week? Ah. My hair. Yeah, let's see here. So I'll save that. No, no, no. No, no, no. So maybe one more story, and then we'll call it quits. I'm kind of tired. It's only 6:58. You're annoyed with your hair, it's way too long. Never be annoyed with your hair. Hair is beautiful. I'm gonna make me some dinner here in a little bit. Some ramen. Ramen's the greatest cheap food ever. Being broke sucks, but ramen's good. Let's go to hot. Nope. Top. Man dinner. Yeah, I put chili peppers in it and stuff. Like um, seasoning. Do 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 do. Hey Tinra, welcome to the stream. My other brother Paul. Oh, Paul's long. Welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy. Yay. How are some of these? I said top past month, and some of these say 2020, 2017, 2019, 2018. It doesn't make any sense. How are the Chappy? What's new? I'm trying to get a new job. I'm perpetually broke and it sucks. But beyond that, I'm good. I don't know. I think everybody's broke. I hope I get this round of stimulus. That'll be cool. Oh, we're almost at an hour. I just lay on my hair. Yanderi's still waiting. Waiting on what, Yanderi? Your stimulus? To learn how to do a front flip or a back flip? I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. It's been 67 years. What? What? In the butt. You gotta put it in the... What? Gross. The moon is very angry. The stimulus, yeah. It's hard to find work in the Rona times. Bridget's hair is short for once. Awesome, Bridget. You can do buns, but it's hard. That's what she said. No, because she literally said, never mind. I'm 12. All my life I've been losing time. Last night I finally found out why. Hmm. Derp. Hey, Lauren. So how about all my life I've been losing time? Last night I finally found out why. This looks like a fun one. Once again, if you guys like these stories, go into the old Reddit doobly-doos. Give them an upvote. Give him an award. I don't know. Hey, Chappy. Yes, Yandere. Was sleeping with bobby pins. Would suck. Y'all are crazy. I don't have a problem with my hair. I'm a back sleeper, though. I just lay on my hair. Why am I so tired? That's weird. Like He-Man. Oh, Chappy. I get it. It's even funnier if you know my last name. Cool beans. Are beans cool, though? Let's be honest. All my life, I've been losing time. Last night, I finally found out why. I started losing time when I was 10. I remember it clearly. I woke up and looked at the clock, 7:32 a.m. I went over to the closet and started picking out what I'd want to wear at school. A few minutes later, my mom poked her head in. "We need to leave, or we're going to be late." I glanced at the clock, 8:32. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I thought I'd looked at the clock, fallen back asleep somehow, and then gotten out of bed. Or maybe it was some weird daylight savings thing, but it kept happening. When I was 12, I lost time on a field trip to a museum of natural history. I drifted away from the group to look at the mineral collection. What felt like 10 minutes of staring at a slab of malachite was actually 3 hours. 2 police officers found me. I wasn't allowed on any more field trips after that. Kept happening as I got older. At 16, I was supposed to meet my crush at the school dance. I went to the bathroom only to come out and find him dancing with someone else 2 hours later. At 22, I lost half a day after a heavy night of partying. I told myself it was the alcohol, that I'd blacked out, but I know better. At 25, I missed a friend's entire wedding while getting ready. At 28, I unwillingly spent 2 hours in the bathtub while getting ready for a date with my now husband. My fingers were so pruny. And then a year ago, there was the incident. I went to the kitchen to grab a snack while watching my 2 sons. After grabbing a handful of chocolate chips, I glanced at the oven clock. It was 45 minutes later. I ran out of the kitchen, screaming my sons' names. They were okay, but they could have drowned or run away, fallen down or died. But instead, they were pouring chocolate milk onto the rug and stomping in it, laughing. That's what spurred me to act. I saw a psychiatrist, a sleep specialist, to test for narcolepsy. I saw every kind of doctor you could think of. They did MRIs, EKGs, every kind of test. They found nothing. So I decided to study myself. I got a journal and started writing down each episode. When it happened, for how long, what I was doing at the time, what I'd eaten, drank. It wasn't really a pattern. I told my husband. I mean, it only happens when I'm alone. But that's the only common thread. So I decided to study myself. I got the journal. Right. There's got to be a pattern. Let me have a look. My husband, Adam, is the man of science. Everything can be quickly, empirically proven, according to him. Life all comes down to numbers, equations. There's no room for the unexplained. There isn't a pattern, I said, handing him the little black book. There's got to be. He sat in the armchair for a good 20 minutes, flipping through my pages as I sat there awkward and feeling the unease clench my stomach. They're getting more frequent, he murmured, not looking up. I knew that already. I didn't want to say it out loud. I had 3 episodes just in the past 6 months, as many as I had had in my entire 20s. I was scared. He blew out a breath. I don't know what to tell you, Becca. You're right. I don't see an obvious pattern. So we're back to square one. Over the coming months, the incidents grew closer together, 2 months apart, then 3 weeks, then 4 days. I started refusing to go to sleep alone for fear I'd lose time. Is this really necessary? Adam asked, as he accompanied me to the bathroom. Yes, I replied through the crack of a door. Can't we just close the door? I'll keep checking on you every 5 minutes, promise. Okay, promise? Promise. I got out of the bathroom 2.5 hours later. Adam was sitting on the floor, pale and panicked, holding a bent bobby pin. I kept calling out to you. After about 10 minutes, you didn't answer. So I got this bobby pin and thought I could pick the lock, but I couldn't, and I sat there on the floor and hugged him. It's okay, I whispered. It's not okay. I have to admit, there was a part of me that didn't believe you. I mean, that was the only explanation, and he faltered. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Somehow, that made me feel better, stronger, that I had to be strong for him. I had to beat this. Why don't we go out this weekend? Family outing. I forced a laugh. Then I won't be alone. That sounds nice, he said. It had been a while since we'd gone out. The problem had consumed us, eating our sanity and our time until there was nothing left. One Friday evening, I put a little makeup, my favorite outfit, and then we packed up the car. Where are we going? Ben asked. I want to watch TV, Liam said. We're going to have a nice dinner, and then we're going to walk around and see all the Christmas decorations in town. That sounds boring, Liam said. It's so cold, Ben added. I clicked the straps of the car seat into place. It'll be fun, I promise. I got into the driver's seat. Adam got beside me, and then we were off. I started the car and pulled out of the driveway. We were halfway there when it happened. I got an 18-wheeler in front. I got an 18-wheeler in the other direction, headlights blazing, going too fast for the icy weather. It swerved over the line. No, no, no. It was coming so fast, careening towards our tiny Accord. I had no time to react, no time to swerve, no time to click. Darkness. Is this the afterlife? Did I just die? My mind scrambled for an explanation. Oh, God. Ben, Liam, Adam. They're all gone. My poor babies, my sons, my... No. There was something else. Carpet under my feet. The smell of Fruit Stripes gum in the air. Thumping steps from somewhere under me. Huh? My eyes flickered open. I was standing in my room looking into a closet full of pink and purple clothes. What? I'm back in my room? I stood there for a long time. Close to an hour. Then click, I was standing in the museum. Cold air nipping at my arms. Staring up at the slab of malachite, studying the dark green lines, bubbling, swirled around each of them. Click, I was standing at the high school bathroom staring at my reflection. The rolling guitar of Life House, you and me spilling in. Click, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, head pounding. Click, standing in front of a mirror, wearing a royal blue dress. Click, laying in the bathtub. Click, standing in the kitchen, staring at the oven clock, chocolate chips melting in my hand. Click, click, click. All the time I had lost, dumped in me all at once. Hours, days, happening all in the span of a millisecond. My life's flashing before my eyes in time. The time I needed to think. My eyes snapped open and the truck was roaring towards us. Immediately, I jerked the steering wheel. We careened into the grass. The truck slammed by, tires screeching on asphalt. We wheeled through the mud, then rolled to a stop. My husband looked at me. He stared at me, breathless and pale. From the passenger seat, I turned around. Both of our sons stared back at us, wide-eyed, trapped in their car seats. Ben spoke first. "Can we do it again?" I broke into laughter, soft at first, then loud. Manic, freeing as relief spilled over me. No, we can't. So there you go. I mean, I don't know if y'all got that. Anyways, I'm probably gonna get out of here soon. But see if y'all wanted to chit chat for a little bit. Meow? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that was fun, right? Stories? Oh, moo. Kitty cat in a box. And I raise you a... Keith is watching you. Keith always watches. Anyways. Anyways. Hey, Pam. We're about to get out of here. I'm just posting stuff now. Missed the stories. Yeah, I'll do some more. Oh, today is Thursday. Okay. Oh. Well, I raised you one of these. It's kind of hard to tell unless you have the black background. But yeah. Maybe one of these. Don't forget to call your mom. I'll call you while I'm cooking my ramen. Alright, guys. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go get the feed. Maybe I need to shave all this. Look, it's like almost hairless. But then I got all this hair. It's like a glue-on beard. It's weird. I'm pretty sure my mom had sex with Captain Morgan. And this is what happened. We will do, I'll try to keep to the normal Thursday time. Maybe we'll do some this weekend. Now, don't shave, just trim it up. Keep it fancy. Yeah, there's no fancy to this. It's just... The mustache can be fancy. That grew in full. That's a healthy sumbitch. This, it's just... Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you all for coming. You're great and wonderful people. I will talk to you all. Now, I keep it long enough. You can give some Jason Momoa vibes. I don't know. Give everybody the crazy eyes. Pretty sure that guy's crazy. But anyways, thanks for coming, guys. You know I love you all. And we'll do this again Maybe sooner than Thursday, but definitely on a Thursday.